Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm happy to bring you a new edition of EveryWoman TV, the TV program that has been created to help women promote their businesses on television. And we are showcasing here on Sky Television. As you know, my name is Carol Azams, and I am your host, the producer and founder of EveryWoman TV. On the show today, I have Sheila Balgobin, also Amanda Konkol, and a brand new guest. Today, joining us all the way from California is Dr. Menge. Dr. Menge is also a lady who is featured in one of my book in the series of the lockdown stories, but she's also going to read from that book, which is the title 100 Empowered Voices. I have my own copy here with me. Yes. Dr. John will be featured in the segment of the Books and Authors TV, and that is after presenting my guests with their businesses. So my first guest today is going to be Sheila. Welcome once again to EveryWoman TV. I'm happy to welcome you back on the show.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, and I am here to talk with you today about the hyper-rational saboteur. Now, the hyper-rational saboteur is characterized as being intense and having exclusive focus on the rational aspects of everything, including relationships. They can be perceived as cold, distant, and intellectually arrogant or having a superior attitude. However, on the flip side, being hyper rational isn't really such a bad thing. Having the natural ability to use reason and logic is actually very helpful in life, especially as an entrepreneur, as long as that need to be rational doesn't get out of hand. And this is the thing with saboteurs. They take natural talents and gifts and turn them into faults. So how does a hyper-rational person appear to others? They have an intense and active mind and sometimes come across as being intellectually arrogant and secretive. They're private and really don't share their feelings with other people and mostly show passion with regard to ideas. They prefer to watch others and analyze things from a distance, and so they step back and can lose track of time because they're so concentrated on what they're doing that the rest of the world could just disappear and they wouldn't even notice. And they have a very strong penchant for being skeptical and debating with people. You could read that as being argumentative at times. Now, how does the hyper-rational person think? They think things like the rational mind is where it's all at, and that feelings are distracting and irrelevant. So they feel that many people are irrational and sloppy in the way that they think, and that needs and emotions are a distraction from getting the job done. And they can be very tunnel visioned and think that it's necessary to shut out any and all distractions. And they value greatly knowledge, understanding, and having insight. Their self-worth is attached to being able to master knowledge and be competent at whatever it is that they do. But their feelings show something slightly different when you look inside all of that. The hyper-rational person is frustrated with others being emotional rather, and not logical. They're anxious about saving time, money, and energy, and their resources against intrusions by others or other situations. They often feel like they're different, that they're alone, and they're misunderstood. And they are, as mentioned before, very skeptical or cynical about things. Kinds of things that a hyper-rational person will tell themselves are, the rational mind is the most important thing. And it should be protected from wasteful intrusions of people's messy emotions and needs. so the job can get done. How does that impact the people around them? It limits the depth and flexibility in relationships, in both in work and in personal life, because analyzation takes place rather than experiencing feelings. So a relationship becomes a project rather to be to be gotten through rather than a relationship. And it can be intimidating to people who are less analytical and intense than the hyper rational person. So there you have it. That's the hyper rational saboteur. And next, we'll be looking at another hyper. This one is hyper vigilant. So thank you for watching and listening. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is the hyper vigilant saboteur. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, thank you very much. There is so much that I'm learning alongside these women in every single week. I'm gonna move straight to my next guest, who is Amanda Kunkel. Hi, Amanda. I'm glad to bring you back on the show today. What have you got to share with our viewers?
Hello, this is Amanda Kunkel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you a powerful money mantra for manifestation. This mantra is based so simply on all of the principles that I've been speaking into here, and that is that we are vibrational beings. And this is not about getting something outside of yourself. This is about being the vibration. This is about allowing your body to be fully on board with this vibration of money. And so your mantra is the powerful I am wealth. I am wealth. Allow yourself to feel all of those superhighway of abundance feelings coming to and through your body as you claim so fully out loud, I am wealth. Shout it to the rooftops. Fully stand up, stand, demand, command. I am wealth. When you're feeling into the superhighway abundance, which if you haven't seen the video yet, head on back to my YouTube page as you take a pause here to watch that short video onto getting on in the vibration of the superhighway of abundance, because that's where it is so easy to allow and to receive all of your desires, including this wealth. And so you bring in these positive, wonderful feelings of wealth. You allow yourself to know that that is who you be. It's not something with outside of yourself. It is your birthright. I challenge you 3 times a day, every morning before you start your day. I am wealth, truly being in that vibration. And watch how even this one simple shift is going to allow the rest to flow so easily. Speak again soon.
Thank you so much for that. I'm just going to introduce Dawn very briefly to Books and Authors TV. Like I said before, Dawn is joining us from California, and this is a little bit about her. Yeah, Dawn has won 41 international awards as the author of the Queen Vanita Educational Series, including the Special Recognition Champion Award from Conquering Disabilities with Film Festival. She holds a PhD in Curriculum and Instruction, a master's degree, and a clear credential in moderate and severe disabilities. Dr. Dawn has been teaching students with severe cognitive delays for over 20 years and lives in Southern California. Dr. Dawn, I'm happy to bring you on the show today, and also your co-author in the Queen Vanita series, Ken Trier. Welcome to Books and Authors segment of EveryWoman TV.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. My name is Dr. Dawn Menge. I write an educational children's series. I've won 40 international awards with it. I also teach students with severe cognitive delays. and I'm very happy to be here and share all of my books and my co-author for my newest book, Kent Duryea.
Hi, my name is Kent Duryea. I co-authored Queen Vernita Visits the Land of Little Rain with Dr. Don Menge. I am in love with the desert. I lived in it most of my life. I grew up on the Mojave Desert north of Los Angeles, and then I moved to Tucson, Arizona, and it was just wonderful to be able to get some of that stuff that's inside my brain down on paper and share it with Dawn and Queen Vernita.
I had the pleasure of being part of an anthology project that Carol had. It's called 100 Empowered Voices, about our experiences during the pandemic. I was very excited to be publishing in Ireland. So I'd like to read you what my chapter was. And this is my chapter. All of our schools are shutting down, a teacher from Los Angeles School District said as she hung up her phone. Mine too, and I'm from San Diego School District. We were all sitting in a small conference room in Sacramento, California, working on the standardized testing materials. Teachers from around the state had gathered to create science questions. That night, I flew home and went to my class. It was a Friday afternoon, and we were notified that we would not be returning to school for 2 weeks. There was an outbreak of a worldwide virus, and we were taking precautions. 2 weeks soon turned into months, and we had not been allowed to gather our educational materials. Thankfully, teachers are very creative and resourceful when it comes to teaching our students with severe cognitive delays. Off to the dollar store to gather materials to be sent home. Art projects, a bird feeder out of peanut butter, pine cones, and bird seed, and lots of worksheets were gathered. This routine went from 2 weeks to 15 months. Zoom soon became our best friend and our only connection to our students and their families. All learned a lot about each other and our home lives. Our family life took a path that was full of adventure and togetherness. Camping became our monthly theme. There were family members ages 78 to 60 with us. Watch my grandma as I do a flip in the pool. I barely had enough time to look up before Austin was already upside down, high above the pool ledge. Splash! He landed spraying water on his cousins who were nearby in the water. Scheduling family pool time at the campgrounds was inconvenient at first, but once we got the hang of it, it was nice to have the huge pool to ourselves. Beep, beep, Grandma, I'm coming around the corner. I quickly steered my go-kart to the side as 3 of my grandchildren zoomed by me on their go-karts. We were visiting the Grand Canyon on this trip. Many parts of the canyon were closed, but we were able to ride our bicycles along the rim, hike, and take marvelous pictures of the spectacular view. Dad, I can't find my hiking stick. Madison was lagging behind our walk up the Vista Point in Zion National Park. Some are ready to conquer the highest mountain peak, while others are more content sitting by the running river and relaxing while the youngest members skip rocks into the water. At the end of the day, we all gathered into the main campsite to share our adventure stories, eat our dinner over a campfire, and to roast marshmallows and melted chocolate. These are memories that are created that form a bond that will follow the children throughout their lives. They will repeat the adventures to their children and most likely expand on their huge fish story. These trips taught us that we're all interacting in our small worlds, but ultimately we come together in a bigger context. The entire world was faced with a pandemic that was felt in every country, big or small. We had to continue living our lives with new unknown restrictions that changed almost daily. Confusion was the main guidance as we tried to help small businesses survive, learn to work and interact via the computer, and stay healthy. At home, we walked every day and binge watched every series on Netflix we could find. I learned a lot about vampires and how to solve crimes. I also took this opportunity to create more children's books. My traveling for work and book events had suddenly come to a halt. This was the perfect opportunity to catch up on my series. What could have been more magical than a Christmas train ride with Santa Claus or a camping trip along the beach? I soon had 2 new pre-K books out about ostriches, fishing, body surfing, Christmas present making, Christmas carol singing, and falling asleep in Santa's lap. I collaborated with my co-author to create a beautiful book on the desert that we had started 10 years before. I had written a fairy tale about a mishap that had happened in my life, and I was finally able to release it. I read it on a bedtime stories podcast out of the UK, and it began trending all over the world. This was an ample time to begin networking. I soon discovered podcast groups and was interviewed all over the world: India, Greece, New Zealand, Jamaica. Africa, and of course, all over the United States. The most exciting book reading I did was for a second grade class in Paraguay. They were so excited and curious. I was so glad that I had volunteered to participate. One adventure that we had during this time was taking a friend to the beach. We were not able to sit down at the beach, and as we walked along the shoreline, my grandson swam next to us. My friend did a wonderful jig, trying not to step on a jellyfish that had washed up on the shore. That became an illustration in my Queen Vernita Sleeps by the Sandy Fireside newly released book. Surviving a worldwide pandemic was an experience that taught us many things, that life is unpredictable and we can't control nature. Adaptation is still the means to survival, and personal interactions are how we maintain our stability. We need each other to survive. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share all of this in the anthology. And here is a picture of almost all of my books on one of our vacations during the pandemic. And now my co-author, Kent, is going to tell you all about our newest book, Queen Vernita Sleeps by the Sandy. Queen Vernita Visits the Land of Little Rain. The Queen Vernita's Visitors Educational Series is named after my grandmother, Queen Vernita. And the first one is pre-K to first grade, and it teaches calendar stills, days of the weeks, and months of the years. It's won 70 international awards. They all have the Purple Dragonfly Award. And I have won many film festival awards. And I started turning in my book trailers, and I won this award from Italy. And one morning I woke up and they were announcing it all in Italian, which I do not understand, but I understood my name and the name of the book, and it was very exciting. So I got this one. I also entered all of my books in the Conquering Disabilities with Film Festival because I've included my students, and I've received a Special Recognition Champion Award for all of my books. And I just recently got this one, Book Excellent Award for Dragon's Breath, which is not part of the Queen Vernita series. And this is the medal I just got. And it won the Best Written Word for Miracle Makers Film Festival. And it's about a dragon, a king and a queen who met a dragon, and the dragon said that he was going to help them. And she did not help them. She actually was hurting them. And the king had to figure out who was doing it. And it's a lesson on being kind and not hurting others. And it's been read all over the world and enjoyed greatly. This is one that we did. We took the train ride from Williams, Arizona to the Grand Canyon. And then we went on the Polar Express. This is my grandson. He fell asleep on Santa's lap. And this one is pre-K to first grade. It has, this is my son and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter reading on the train. And it has Santa. And my illustrator takes the pictures from our trips and turns them into illustrations. And here is my grandson sleeping on Santa's lap on the Polar Express. And I have 14 books out. This one is on New Orleans, and it has plantations and slavery. And I went into the bayou on a jet boat, and we went in and we held a baby alligator. So here the queen is holding a baby alligator and learning all about the bayou and alligators. And this is the one that we did on the camping trip. It's pre-K to first grade, and it has kite flying and s'mores making and lots of fun things to do in the summertime, which is perfect for right now. And the newest book we wrote was The Queen Vernita Visits the Land of Little Rain, and it's a story that my co-author and I actually started 10 years ago. And over the pandemic, we were able to finish it. And it's actually so much better than it would have been if we had done it 10 years ago. So I'm glad we waited. And we based it on the Hacienda Linda. I've known Kent since I was 16 years old. So for over 40 years, we've been friends. And it's a beautiful book. It's got Day of the Dead and Diwali and camel riding. That's one thing I wanted to do. I rode a camel one time in Palm Springs with my children, and I told them, I want to have a camel in the book. So Kent figured out how to put a camel in the book. So he is going to talk about his love of the desert and his co-authoring the newest Queen Vernita book.
Yeah, that was it was a lot of fun writing it. I got to dig through a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have normally gotten to dig through. um, of course, you got to mention something about the title. The Land of Little Rain was a book about the California desert by Mary Austin, written in the early 1900s. Very wonderful book, and I appreciated it so much that we could use the title, sort of kind of worked it in there a little bit. That was fun. Um, the book starts off with the queen freezing in her mountain castle somewhere where it's very cold, and she's dreaming of warming up in the desert. So she contacts her friend Chongo and arranges to stay at, as Dawn said just a second ago, at the Hacienda Linda, which is an actual bed and breakfast just outside of Tucson, Arizona. It's a beautiful place, wonderful. We've known the owners there for many years, Dawn and I, and it's just a wonderful place to go and spend some time in the middle of the desert. You're just surrounded by all the saguaro cactuses, the Red Rock Mountains, and it's wonderful how the weather sort of rolls over you while you're there. It changes from hour to hour, basically. The plants and the animals are just astounding. So it made it easy to bring those things into the story and wrap them into the separate adventures that the characters take part in during each month. The book's chapters are basically the months of the year. They visit the Mission San Javier del Bac, which was originally built in the 1700s, and it's still there on the Tohono O'odham Indian Reservation, which they used to be known as the Papago. And the mission still functions as a church. All these 2 or almost 3 centuries later. It's just an amazing story. They go on, and the animals make comments about what they see and what happens in the background. Camels were definitely a feature of the Arizona desert in the 1800s. The U.S. Army brought them to Arizona to try to adapt a little bit better to a very foreign desert environment that no one really had any experience with. And the camels were fine with it, but the people weren't fine with the camels. They didn't understand, so that kind of drifted away. But it's nice that the camel makes an appearance with the queen. There are basically 12 different adventures, and they range from bats flying out of a cave deafeningly to the Diwali, which is a celebration from India of light and love, and it's just it was so fun wrapping everything together. I had so much fun.
Yes, we had a good time writing it. And I did want to mention a little bit that Chango is Kent in the book, so he's part of the illustrations. And the Diwali is my occupational therapist who came from India. So we did a conference with her and learning about all of the things they did when she was growing up. And the illustration, her family is in the illustration, and they are wearing their native costume that they wear for the celebration. So there's a lot of very authentic information in the books, and they're highly educational. This one ranges 6th and 7th grade, so it has a lot of content.
I can't show it because I have my background going in Zoom.
Okay.
Sorry.
But I'm very thankful that I got to write the book with Kent, and we are working on one now that is the Death Valley, and it's based on his grandmother went to Death Valley in 1932, and I went twice this year. So what we're doing is we're doing like a mirror image of his grandmother's trip and a trip that we just took, and had the differences and the different adventures that we had. And so I'm really excited about doing that. I think it's going to be a really neat book to read and to write. And so that's the next one that we're working on. And the inspiration was his grandmother and my trips to Death Valley. And of course, Kent loves Death Valley. He spent a lot of time there as a young man, a young man in his 20s. And which is not something I would be doing, but that is something he did. So we had a great time writing the other book, and we're going to have just as much fun writing this one.
Right. Yep. I can't wait for the on-site research.
And if you would like any of our books, my publisher is Rushmore Press. My Facebook is Dawn Menge1. My Instagram is Dawn Menge, and my Twitter is Queen Vernita. And they're sold in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, all over the world. And thank you for the chance to interview us.
Yeah,
and learn all about our adventures.
Here, here, me too.
Bye.
Wow. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, our viewers. Please keep watching the show. And this has brought us to the end to another brilliant episode of the show. Like I say in every single edition, if you're a woman who is in business and you're trying ways to promote your business, we are right here on Sky Television waiting to promote your business and showcase you to the rest of the world. You can reach me through my website at www.myeverywomantv.com. Like I say all the time, sign up now and you could see yourself with me right here the next time. So until I come your way again, please do take care of yourselves, and goodbye for now.